What is that? All right. So we're gonna do some training. Gonna mostly focus on some of the stances and even arm positions that we use when we do Sai. So you don't have to have a Sai with you, and I'll show you in a minute what a Sai is. This is mainly intended for people who already practice with Sai. But if you're in your room and you don't have a weapon or you can't swing a weapon in your house, this is something you can do without it, but you should kind of already know how to use it. This isn't a super introductory lesson. What does that look? All right. It's early, but we can do this. It's going to be a great class. All right. So I'm going to grab my Sai. And so this is just what Sai are. These are kind of, these are some personalized, like custom Sai that I got. It's got the engraved name of our style. I don't know if you can see it. You can kind of see it. These are made by Philip Warbington from Warbington Steel. They're pretty cool. These are kind of pretty lightweight and stuff. So for me, it's probably what I should be using right now. Elbows are having some problems. But you don't need to have Sai right now to follow along, but you are going to have to be able to see how we're switching the grip. So you're going to have one finger pointing along the end of the Sai like that when it's tucked this way, which most of the time got me. All right. Most of the time, we're actually going to be holding it like this for this kata. This specific kata, we hold it more extended, but at the very beginning, we start in a position like this, and then we're going to do like a block, hook, and switch this one, pull, step in, and thrust. So when you're holding it like this, we're going to hold it this way. So you're going to see the pointer index finger pointed in the direction that my wrist and hand are going. So if you see me go this way, then I'm kind of pushing out with the Sai. If you see me going this way, kind of deflecting the Sai like this. And if you see me going like this, that's when I'm thrusting the Sai. It is not Rex Kwon Do, but we are going to do some Sai skills. Got bow skills, nunchuck skills, Sai skills, like a ninja. So ninja actually didn't really use these per se. These are Okinawan weapon that was actually imported from China and was actually more used by like police in Okinawa. And I think in China too, they were maybe having some of the police using these. It has some obvious applications where this is kind of like one of those batons, like the collapsible baton, except it's not collapsible. But you can go from holding it like this to holding it like this, so you can reach a little further and you can hit impact, so it's less lethal when you're using it like that, but then it also would have a more lethal application if you're thrusting it at somebody. But you've got these prongs that could be used to control and restrain somebody or to pin an arm that has a weapon. If you're just trying to control someone and stop them from being able to use a weapon, you can push that here so that they're going to have trouble using their weapon while maybe you're also hitting them that way. You can also hook this way or punch, and that again would be a less lethal application if you're punching instead of thrusting with the more business end. So this was originally a police weapon, not a ninja weapon, but it's movies, definitely in movies, ninja use this. Electra, when she's trained by the Hand, she's using these. Raphael, yeah, yeah. It's kind of fun how the Ninja Turtles, even though they're supposed to be ninja, they're using mostly Okinawan weapons, with the exception of Leonardo using the katanas. But I would say that the that one not live action, but there was a more recently made movie that did kind of give a nod to the Okinawan origins. So I did appreciate that the Ninja Turtles were at least mentioning Okinawa, since they're using mostly Okinawan weapons. Yep, yep. We do have guns in America. However, my family would prefer that when I wake up early in the morning, they prefer that I practice with these than to hear me shooting my guns in the basement. So you're right, we do have guns here, but we are practicing with Sai today, my friend. Kaka. America. All right, all right, all right. The patriotism in the feed is getting so strong. I should have known that um, we're we're not. This is not practicing. We're not going to any other countries with these. Let's go ahead and get started with some techniques. All right. So with these, you can hold them this way. Usually we start with them in the left hand. So this is my left hand. And we're going to start Kyotsuke. Right. You're going to bow like that. Make sure your bow is one where you mean it. It shouldn't be, your head shouldn't go forward. You shouldn't have a turtle-like neck position when you bow. You should keep your body in a straight line. Bow like that at the waist. And then everything comes back up together. All right. So then we're going to go here. And in this kata, the kata that we're actually going to do, we don't always start this way, but if you're going to do like a tournament or something, it's kind of a fun way to do it. Transition here, extend out, then you let it hang on the thumbs, regrip here, and step over. All right. We're going to practice mostly with the sai extended this way. Again, you do not need a sai for this. You can do it, and for right now, we're even going to practice it without the sai. So I'm going to put these down, so I'm not practicing with the sai. The turtle. All right. We're on Ninja Turtles, so the turtle reference. All right. So again, remember we've got our finger like this because we're thrusting with the sai, and our fingers that going this way. So we're going to go with our feet kind of even together, knees bent, and you're going to step and push with that back leg. That back leg's going to push you into a Zen Kusudachi stance. You're going to come back, keeping your head kind of level, because as you step back, you're maintaining bend in your knees. You're going to step, boom, and push with the back foot. So you're in that Zen Kusudachi stance. So pay attention to your stance. Ichi, boom. Zen Kusudachi. Make sure you're in the Zen Kusudachi stance. Come back. Leave the hand out. So as you step, boom, same time. The hand and foot starts and stops at the same moment. Back. Step, hand and foot, same time. Back, leave the right hand out. Step, hand and foot, same time. Back, hand and foot, same time. Back, hand and foot, same time. Back, hand and foot, same time. All right, so then you're in that Zenku Sudachi stance, and we're just gonna leave it there. And then we're gonna kind of sink. So we're gonna take our hand from here to here. We're not gonna sweep it across to block. We are blocking. Our hand's gonna end up like this, right? Hand's gonna end up this way. So what's happening, I'm going from here to here. From here to here, okay? Here to here. It's not coming here, it's dropping. So I'm gonna sink my weight. I'm going to drop my hand at the same time. Like I'm dropping the sai, but I'm still holding on to it tightly. All right, so leave the left hand out, step right, boom. Gate on, step back, nuki, gate on. Step back, leave that there. Nodo nuki, gate on. Just drop into that gate on. Step back here, leave that out. Nodo nuki, gate on uke. Leave that out here. Step, nodo nuki, gate on uke. Step back, leave that in that blocking position. Nodo nuki, gate on uke. Step back, leave it in the blocking position. Nodo nuki, gate on uke. Step back, leave it in the blocking position. Nodo nuki, gate on uke. All right, now we're gonna do a full transition from stance to stance, and we're mostly gonna use, the only techniques are that Nodo nuki, you're poking the throat, and then you're blocking down. All right, so if I've got, Bob here, he's got this vital point right where his throat is. Boom. So if I did like a nuki te strike, that would impact the throat, go right in there. But with this, that's a deadly force kind of attack. So I'm stepping in, boom, and getting him right there. All right. Then from there, I'm doing a downward block. All right. Maybe he blocked it. Maybe he blocked here. Then he's coming in with his own strike, and I'm gonna sink my weight and block that. Or I come here and he blocks it, or he moves away. Maybe he leans back and I don't hit him. But now I want to move his weapon out of the way. His weapon's floating around here. I engage with the weapon, boom, and drive it downward. All right, so you could use this a couple ways. The block could be blocking an actual strike that Bob is doing at my leg, or it could be that his weapon is floating around here. He avoided my strike. His weapon is between him and me, because that's where he'd want to keep his weapon, right, is between him and me. And so I'm going to make contact with his weapon and then just boom, drive it, force it downward, and then stab him with my other side. That's maybe the idea there. I know. He, how embarrassing. How embarrassing. Make sure your stuff is tied on correctly. Don't be a Bob. All right, so we're gonna do Go Renda this time. So you're going to, let's say left hand is out. You're gonna step with your right foot, right hand, sink down into a gate on block. Sorry, don't do that. Right foot, right hand. You're gonna go back to a Neko Ashidachi stance, the cat foot stance. Make sure your stance is correct. There should be half the length of your foot, front to back, should be in between the toe of the back foot and the heel of the front foot. So if your feet are like this, the one that's gonna go in front is gonna go, you move the heel out like this, so there's a little bit of space between them. Then you're gonna move it forward like this, so that there's half the length of your foot between the heel and the toes of the back foot, front to back. And there's a little bit of space like that. And then the heel of the front foot is kind of raised, but not raised as much as they do in like Goju Ryu. That heel, a lot of times I see it way up. It's not raised way up. All right, so you're gonna go from, let's say, right foot, right hand, and you're gonna come back, but sink and drop into that Nekowashi Dachi, and then you're gonna go Nuki. When you go Nuki, your hip rotation is gonna put that heel down on the floor. So it's no longer, before this is like 95% of your weight is here on this back leg, and 5% on this front leg that just kind of floats out here. Boom, boom, and probably if you actually are making contact and driving it down, that's gonna change during this gate on block. So in the kata, you're gonna come back to here and you're still gonna maintain lightness on that foot. But if you're really driving a weapon down or knocking a weapon down, there's gonna be a momentary shift of your weight onto that front leg, boom, which might only be momentary. Maybe it's just boom, and now you're back to like a Nekowashi Dachi light movement. But then when you thrust here, that rotation is going to cause that heel to go down, and the forward energy is going to cause you to now have maybe like a 50-50 weight distribution momentarily when you do that strike. So right foot, right hand, gate on Nekowashi, Nodo, and shift, Nodo, and now just in that Zenkusudachi stance, sink into that gate on block. Back, left foot, left hand, back to Nekowashi, Nodo, Nodo, now you're in Zenkusudachi again, sink into that gate on block. Zenkusudachi. Back, Nodo, Nekowashi, Gedan, Nodo, Nodo, Gedan. Back, Zenkusudachi, Nekowashi Dachi, Nodo, Zenkusudachi, Zenkusudachi, Nodo, Gedan, Nodo, Nodo, Gedan Uke. Nodo Nuki, Gedan Uke, Nodo Nuki, Nodo Nuki, Gedan Uke. Nodo, Gedan, Nodo, Nodo, Gedan. Nodo, Gedan, Nodo, Nodo, Gedan. All right. The next one we're gonna do is we're gonna do a block like this. Boom, boom. So you're gonna see my hands going this way or this way. So we're gonna go this way and then this way. And then on the other side, it's gonna be like you're pointing in opposite directions. You're going here, here, here. So when you actually have the sai in your hand, which you don't need for this, you can just do it without the sai in your hand. You're pointing this way, boom, and going here, and then here. Boom, boom, and here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I could do it. I see many of the kiddos these days doing some of those routines, let's say, and they seem pretty complex. I don't know, but I could probably figure it out if they can. But I just don't have the will or energy. All right, so going here, here, so boom, boom, kind of wrists sort of together. You're moving together, boom, 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 boom. And this is, again, this one's going to be like a block and deflection. And then this one's going to be more of a dropping down while this one gets ready to attack. This one's going to be a block and deflection. This one's going to be dropping down while this one gets in position for an attack. So without the sai, it's going to look like boom, boom. All right. Oh, point over there, but now you're pointing this way, but the back of your wrist is going to kind of flick a little bit, boom, and then block down. And this one's back here, ready to attack. Boom, 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 boom. So even with this, universal throughout martial arts, whether you have a weapon, you don't have a weapon, no matter what weapon is in your hand, using your body is going to be where you're getting most of your power. So if my body's moving this way, I don't have much power going this way. But I do have power coming this way if my body's coming this way. Same thing, if I'm going this way, boom, that supports like a strike this way, boom, block this way. If I turn my body and I move my body this way, boom, that supports this kind of movement. If I turn my body this way, boom, that supports this kind of movement. Boom. So that's going to be universal. Most of your power, most of your energy is going to be generated by moving the whole mass of your body. So if I weigh 205 pounds, let's say, then moving that 205 pounds behind my weapon is going to be where most of the energy comes from. That being said, there's little technical things that can add a little bit or subtract a little bit. And so that's where your wrist, like developing some strength in your wrist, boom, when you're doing blocks and you're hitting, developing the strength in your wrist is something that can help increase the force of your strikes. You can do that. I have a heavier pair of sai too. I could use that for this. But you know, if I put my elbow in here, I go here, 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 here. I'm just using my sai as like a weight, and I'm developing the strength in my wrist, and this isolates the wrist. If I wanted to get my shoulder involved more, I could put it out in front of me. And that strengthens the wrist for using the sai. So it's really handy that you can directly transfer. You have an exercise you can do with your sai that is directly going to transfer into being something that improves how you use your sai. So I think that's kind of cool. So anytime you use your sai, you could just make that a habit of doing that. Now make sure you're healthy when you do that. You know, if you've got like any exercise, if you have a health issue that's interfering with your ability to do it, wait till you get that resolved. But I think it's super cool. Like anytime you use the sai, just also develop some of those muscles that are going to improve how you use them. All right, so let's go through that movement all together with our stance. All right, so we're gonna go Zen Kusudachi, and we've got this hand position. When we shift back to Nekuwashi Dachi, the stances are the same as what we just did, so you don't even have to change anything. We're back in Nekuwashi Dachi. We're gonna point this way, back of the wrist, boom, and then drop, boom, nuki, nuki, Gedan, Zen Kusudachi. All right, so the stances stay the same. So now we're gonna step and thrust left hand, left foot, back to Nekowashi Dachi, lock this way, boom, 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 boom. All right, step, Nodo, Kosuuke, Gedan, Nuki, Nuki, Gedan. Step, Nodo Nuki, Kosuuke, Nekowashi Dachi, Gedan, Nodo, Zen Kusudachi, Nodo, Gedan, still in Zen Kusudachi. Back, Nodo Nuki, Nekowashi Dachi, Kosuuke, sink, Gedan, Nuki, Nuki, now you're in Zen Kusudachi again, Gedan, Nodo Nuki, Nekowashi Dachi, Kosuke, Gedan, Nuki, Nuki, Gedan. Alright. Let's, we can do the same thing, but this time we're going to boom, boom. What we're doing is we're knocking down the weapon, boom, holding the weapon down, and then thrusting. All right, so this is, you're blocking here, and then counter-attacking. This one, we're blocking here, holding down before we go in for our counterattack. So exactly the same foot movement. Nodo Nuki, Nekowashi Dachi, you're doing the Osai, so point, and this time our fingers are pointing in the same direction. So we're going boom, 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 and holding down, all right? Boom, 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 boom. If somebody was coming in with a pretty strong strike, I really probably want those hands to arrive together. I don't really want it to be boom, boom. I want it to be boom. Hands arrive together and drive the weapon down. Boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So, Nodo, Zen Kusudachi, Nekowashi, Osai, Osai, hold down, Osai. We're going to talk about Osai in a little bit because this is Osai. There's another Osai for karate that we'll do, which is that. That's Osai. All right. Osai is your sinking and holding down. All right. Here, Osai, you're sinking and holding down. So this is Koburyu. We do with the weapon. We do without the weapon. Nodo, Nekowashi, Osai. So point the fingers here, hold down. Nodo, Nuki, Zen Kusudachi, Gedan, Zen Kusudachi, Zen Kusudachi. Point, hold down. Nuki, Zen Kusudachi. So you see that when I transition from the Nekowashi Dachi to that Zen Kusudachi, hand and foot go together. Gedan, and sink. And what I do when I sink, I kind of drop into it. So I don't jump up and down. I don't pick my foot up and stomp it. I kind of just sink down and I kind of allow my foot to come up without my weight coming up. And then I like catch myself. So I just sink down that way. All right. Let's move on from the Sai. We're going to do some karate techniques from Koburyu. And this is going to be from Kobuken Kata. So we're just going to start with that Osai. Because we just talked about Osai. We're going to use that as a transition to go Osai in karate. What, you want more Sai? understand. Okay, we're gonna do more side. Never mind. Because there is. Oh, we have a few people watching, but all right, we're gonna do more side stuff. Okay. Let's go ahead because we're talking mostly about stances. Um, I guess the next place where stances become relevant is we have these movements like this. Okay. Now this is kind of cool because it's there's a practical function, but there's also like kind of some history and like it appears a lot in like religious symbolism and stuff like that too. So a lot of times you have images of some of these maybe Buddhist or Hindu deities with one hand high and one hand low, and maybe one foot raised up, which is interesting. I mean, it's a iconic battle pose. I guess maybe similar to like the Heisman Trophy. If you see, like, I think the Heisman Trophy is the guy has the football in this hand and he's stiff arming with this hand. I think that's correct. But anyway, it's kind of that iconic pose. Boom, you got here, you've got one up, one down, one hand high, one hand low. We use that in karate like this. We use it in karate like this, where we're on one leg and we've got one hand high and one hand low. And of course, if we're blocking something and also maybe stepping out of the way to avoid something and then making contact, boom, and then we've got one side ready to strike, it makes a lot of sense. So it could come from a pure battle perspective where this is just a technique that gets used a lot in battle. When somebody's trying to attack your legs, you're gonna block, you're gonna pick one leg up, and you're gonna have your other hand back ready to attack them. I just saw, because I follow some like Irish stick fighting pages and stuff like that. I'm gonna destroy the name. It's like Badarach or something like that. They have like a Irish shillelagh stick fighting stuff, and so and so the Irish stick fighting, they were talking about how there's a lot of significance behind this position where they pick up one leg and they have their stick raised in their hand while they're standing on one foot. So they're either kicking, they're blocking with their leg, or they're winding up for a strike. But even in Irish mythology, there was actually like a almost like religious symbolism behind that movement. Like it came from some kind of dance where they're going like this. And if you watch some of like the Hindu like Indian dancers, you see them, they've got the finger position and they're kind of doing some of that. So I think there is some like religious, historical, and functional elements to some of this. All right. You already know what it is. But yeah, I'm not one to carry martial arts weapons into public, semi-public venues under the guise of having just a walking stick at all. I wouldn't just put a rubber end on one of my bows and just act like it was a stick I had to walk with. All right, so I'm gonna get focused on this before I go like full Bollywood with my dancing. All right, so we're gonna go a step up and we're going to block down. And this could be a block here, but it's awkward to block here. You could block both hands together if it was a really strong strike coming at you, but then I don't feel like you're gonna get this. unless you do it different times. You could go here to avoid something, and then here to block the next attack, or you could go here to block this attack, something else is coming, and you come like that. But if you're gonna do it at the same time, I think this is gonna be more of just a counterbalance. All right, so I'm counterbalancing here to be able to block with this. So I counterbalance, boom, and I'm blocking and I'm picking my leg up. I'm kind of picking my leg up to the side here while I block down here. Step up, and then as I come down like a baseball pitcher, I'm gonna step down, and this hand and this foot are gonna come together. It's gonna be a kugyuch and angle going to the neck. Oh my gosh, my kids. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. All right, I'm gonna bring out embarrassed Bob here. I'm not gonna fix his belt because I don't need to. That reminds me, a comment reminds me of something funny I saw where someone texts this parent, and they're like, "We have your kids." And the parent says, "What are your demands?" Like they're holding them for ransom. It's like, "No, this is the daycare. Like you're late picking up your kids. Come get them." All right. So just from the standpoint of generating force, like I said, the baseball pitcher, hey, guess what the baseball pitcher does? When they're on the mound, have you seen them lift up one leg? I bet you have. All right, so they're here, and they throw, right? So it's kind of the same thing. So another function of lifting up that leg is just getting maximum power to step into your strike. So baseball, dancing, religious iconography, statues. So all of those things have kind of this theme. All right, so we're here. You could use this as just a wind up and step into that kugyuchi. You're here, bam, here, bam, here, bam, here, bam. All right, so that gives you a lot of power to step in, boom, and deliver that strike. All right, we're gonna get rid of Bob now. Okay, so wait, is Alice the one who like sees the future? I'm trying to think. Okay. So we're here, so you don't have your sai. You're stepping up like this. Oh, baseball. Okay, baseball reference. All right, so all right, so I was thinking that had to do with some kind of like clairvoyancy I had. Like, yeah, I see the future. I'm about to hit you in the neck, and you're just gonna drop. That's what I'm seeing in your future. Oh no. All right. So, you're gonna step out of the way, and you can kind of step up, step together, and then we're gonna step into a Zen Kusudachi stance. So it's gonna be ten shin. So we're stepping out of the way. 10 shin. And since you're using both hands and both feet, you can go right foot, right hand, left foot, left hand. Step down with the left foot, and come up together. But that can all be one move. And then from here, step into Zen Kusudachi. Then to do the other side, same thing. You're gonna 10 shin, which means you're gonna step this way, step up, together, right here, Zen Kusudachi. Tenshin, together, Senkutsudachi. Tenshin, together, Senkutsudachi. Tenshin, Kubyuch, Nodo. Here, Tenshin, Kubi, Nodo. Tenshin, Kubi, Nodo. Tenshin, Kubi, Nodo. All right. Per request, I have done some of that. Now we're gonna go back, so I hope you didn't forget the concept of osai, the hold down. All right, big hold down. Osai. Boom. All right, so we're gonna step, this is no weapons now. Stepping in, this is gonna be like a rainbow. No problem. All right. So this is gonna be like a rainbow. You're gonna step into a zen or a suigoshi at the same time. It's gonna be a strong, longer stance. Weight is 50-50. Both knees are bent. It's a very like athletic stance. All right. I feel very like strong and agile here. So I like this stance a lot. It's not so long, but it's longer. This is a pretty solid stance. Very good for a lot of fighting applications. All right, so we're gonna come over here and we're gonna do an osai. And this hand's gonna make a fist. This hand's gonna be grabbing, and you're gonna sink your weight down into that suigoshi. The weight should be sunk down. And then, let's say they're punching again. Boom. You're gonna block that punch, grab a hold of their arm, and now we're gonna step through into Zenkusudachi, and you're gonna go Sho Oshikomi. Boom. So that's the palm of your hand. Sho, Shote, Sho Oshikomi, which is push in. So you're creating these opposing forces because you grabbed with this side, and you're pushing in with this side. And now you're in Zenkusudachi, the same stance we were using with the sai. All right, so this is where things are useful back and forth. You can practice movements with the weapon and movements empty hand, and a lot of it does translate very directly. You also see that my body's moving with the direction that I'm striking. So again, back to the same principles. If my body's moving, that's where I'm getting most of my energy from, most of my power. So step into that suigoshi, rainbow, sink. Boom. And now I'm gonna shift a little bit more forward because Zenkusudachi angles this way a little bit. Boom. Now my knees, instead of my knees being kind of this way and my feet being a little bit more this way, my feet and knees are gonna adjust a little bit and be this way for this Jodan block. And now, boom, I'm in perfect position because now that my feet are facing forward, I can drive into this next stance, which is Zenkusudachi. If I left my foot here, boom, when I did this, then I'd have to turn this foot as I'm trying to step through. But I already adjust the foot before I step through. All right, try to focus. All right, osai. So rainbow, sink down, and now adjust the foot, adjust your feet so they're more forward, knees forward. When you do this block, pull, create opposing forces, and get into your Zenkusudachi stance. We're gonna do the other side now. All right, so you're here, you're in a short stance. You go from a shorter stance to a longer stance by suigoshi, and we're gonna make a rainbow sink. And then you're going to reorient your feet, knees, and hips forward when you do your Jodan block. Grab, step through, Zenkusudachi. All right, so in between suigoshi and Zenkusudachi, we have a little transitional stance. So we don't really address it, we don't call it anything, we don't say this is this stance. because it's kind of a transitional, like it's a position we make with our feet and our legs when we're going from one thing to the next thing. So we're in Sui Gauche. If we if we rotate so our feet, knees, and hips are now oriented forward, are we in Zen Kusudachi now? The answer is no, because we didn't shift all the way our weight forward to drive here, because Zen Kusudachi should have 70% of your weight on the front leg, 30% on the back leg. This is still going to be probably 50-50, all right? Because we're not, if we went from here to here, and we're going to punch at the same moment, boom, then we probably would shift into a Zen Kusudachi. But this is going to be a transitional. It's just the block, boom, and the actual strike is when we step through, and that's when we're putting 70% of our weight on the front leg and only keeping 30 on the back. So this is weight 50-50, everything's angled this way. Weight 50-50, everything's oriented forward. And then Zen Kusudachi, 70% of your weight on your front leg. Front knee is bent. The back knee is mostly straight. All right, doesn't have to be locked out, but it should be straight. I actually like it to not be locked out, so I still have a little bit of driving energy with it, with the knee, and not just the ankle. If I lock out the back leg, all I have is ankle for push, whereas if I keep my knee a little bit bent, I still have push with my back leg. So our Zen Kusudachi, I would say, keep a tiny bit of bend in that back leg, so you still have push from driving your knee. If you lock it out, all you have is that ankle, and the ankle is not strong enough to propel, to put tons and tons of force your whole body. Your knee is stronger. So keep a little bit of bend in that knee for Zen Kusudachi, but it shouldn't be super bent. All right, so rainbow, osai, sink down, orient forward, but weight is still kind of 50-50. Step through Zen Kusudachi. 70% of your weight here, 30% here. Keep a little bit of knee bend, but not very much. It shouldn't really be visible. It should almost look like your back leg is straight. And this is for the principles of actually fighting. I think that's when I would do it like that. For a tournament, it might look better if you locked your back leg out, but I'm not sure it matters enough to create a bad training habit. Will it look a little better in the tournament? Sure, but maybe it's better to still keep a good habit and still keep a little bit of bend in that back leg, so you still have a little bit of energy. All right, so on this side, sink down osai, 50-50, sui gauche, orient forward, grab, drive into your Zen Kusudachi, pull and strike, and 70% of your weight is going to be here, 30% here, big bend in your knee, very subtle bend in this knee, just so you still have a little bit of spring and push. All right, I'm going to wrap it up, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Any questions real quick before we move on with our exciting day and weekend? Besides, I need to rewatch that series. Can't do it. Oil check. You already know what that means. All right, have a good rest of your day. Oh wait, what's your question? Hand needs to be face down no matter what, right? I'm presuming that you're talking about when you're here, here, you grab and pull into this. Um, I think on this, yeah, I think on this technique, um, yes, just because of what you're trying to do. Um, I think it's a good habit to get in for this specific technique, and I would say that the reason why, so you're high, right? You're pulling from high to low. So they're up here, and now you're pulling them down like this. Okay. If you pull this way, the natural place to pull to when you pull this way, if you have something in your hand, is going to be a little higher than when you're pulling this way. I think this feels more natural for pulling down to your hip. This feels more natural for pulling here, pulling here. Like if you're starting a lawnmower, I guess maybe you would rotate. I don't know. Maybe I feel like I do this with a lawnmower too. But I think when you're pulling high to low, it's going to make sense to just keep that arm in line. I don't think you're going to gain anything by twisting it. I think you actually lose a little bit of something by twisting this here for this specific move, because you're also creating these opposing forces. If you go here with it, I feel like you're kind of up high and you don't have as much control of the push and pull scenario where maybe they're trying to trip you. There's always forces that are going side to side. So that's why it's good to like spar and like wrestle around a little bit too, because then you get to feel like, okay, like this isn't going to be a perfectly clean, I deliver the strike exactly how I mean to, and there's nothing else going on. You're probably going to be a little bit off balance somehow. Somebody's going to be pushing into you. They're going to be moving their body in an awkward way. So you learn to make some of those adjustments on the fly in chaos. But I would say that going here and here, you're going to have them more off balance and you're going to be more in balance than if you're kind of up here like this, I guess. But different things for different applications. I think there's situations where you do want to pull like this. Like if you're trying to pull them up so you can trip them, then you probably want to pull like this. If you want to pull them down, you pull here. Okay. So I think if you pull them up, boom, pull them up so that you can step through and do a trip or a throw, then maybe you want to pull the elbows high versus pulling low if you're trying to maintain your own low balance and you're trying to pull them down and off balance. So I think you could do either way, but I think for this technique, it should be down. This is the correct way to do it in the kata. This is you could show it different ways. You could have your hand close in a fist, or you could have it like this, but you should show that it's grabbing. So it should either, you can show a grab by doing this, or you can show a grab by making a fist. But show that you're thinking about grabbing and you're doing a push and pull. Thinking about grabbing, doing a push and pull. Does that answer it? All right. Well, I must go. Hope everybody has a fantastic day. Keep training, train smart. I think, if you find yourself 55 minutes into a karate video at this hour of the morning, I probably am not having to remind you to train hard. What I'm having to remind is maybe train smart. Have to remind myself of that sometimes too. I'm training with some limitations, training through some limitations, but I'm also have to be kind of careful not to make those things worse. So be smart in how you train. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. The goal is to do this for your life, not just to be really good at it when you're 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. You're still going to have to try to be where you can train when you're 80, 85, 90. And to do that, I think you can train hard, but you also need to train smart and take care of yourself. And that should be like part of the martial arts lifestyle anyway, is taking care of yourself. The whole theme of martial arts is I'm a person worth protecting, so I'm learning fighting techniques. Maybe my family is worth protecting, so I'm learning fighting techniques. My village is worth protecting. My city is worth protecting, so I'm learning these fighting techniques so I can defend defend my home and my community. And different martial arts, some of that's from a historical and cultural perspective, and some of it's in a modern, maybe more oriented toward modern situations. Exactly. Um, but I think if you're saying I'm worth defending against an attacker, I'm also probably worth defending against um, bad lifestyle, right? So if you're a real martial artist, probably better to eat um, eat good food. Make sure you're getting nutrition. Make sure you're getting some sleep. Make sure you're getting exercise, and medical checkups, making sure that you're healthy. All right, I'm not the perfect example of any or all of those things, but I do think that if you're following that mentality of I'm worth protecting, so I'm training, then health should be something that follows that, and should you can kind of relate that to your practice. And like I'm not motivated to always like eat the best, just because I want to be healthy. But if I think about it through this martial arts perspective, like, hey, when I put better fuel into my body, I do better in my martial arts, then maybe that's going to motivate me to eat better food, to be healthier. All right, so have a good rest of your day, and train smart and take good care of yourself.